Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Blue Umbrella Day BUD 2024 Learning and Sharing webinar titled Stand Up for Boys, Ending Sexual Violence. No one should be left behind. This webinar is part of the global BUD campaign dedicated to raising awareness and advocating for policies to protect boys from sexual violence. I'm Champa, the chairperson of FISD and a member of Family for Every Child, and I'm happy to welcome each of you to this important conversation. Before we move on, I would like to show you the structure for today's webinar. Intro to Family and BUD 24 highlights, intro to the three speakers, panelist presentations, Q&A from the audience, signature campaign and Q&A sessions, way forward, conclusion. So who are we? We are a global alliance of 47 local organizations working in 38 countries to improve the lives of children and families in need. As organizations rooted in our local communities, we have a rich and unique understanding of the context in which we work. We are a vital resource for children and families. We are able to work closely with the most marginalized and vulnerable, holding crucial knowledge about how to address inequalities and challenges they face. Now we look at BUD 2024 highlights. Family for Every Child leads the Blue Umbrella Day campaign known as BUD. Through this initiative, we raise awareness, strengthen capacities, and advocate globally for protecting boys from sexual violence. Your participation and support as a member of family or as an external partner have been crucial in the growth and success of this year's campaign. If this is the first time you have heard about this campaign, please stay tuned to learn what we have achieved and how you can join this important movement. Since 2021, our Blue Umbrella Day campaign has been raising awareness and advocating for boys affected by sexual violence. It started with 5 member organizations, and this year it expanded to 37 countries and has expanded to include 55 civil society organizations, including 30 non-member organizations. Through a mix of in-person engagements, social media outreach, and advocacy efforts, the campaign has reached over 1 million people this year, including children, communities, policymakers, and individuals with lived experience of childhood sexual violence. Today, we will be sharing the learning and experience from this year's campaign from 2 members of Family for Every Child and 1 external partner. Now I'm pleased to introduce our esteemed panelists today. Each has been actively involved in BUD's efforts across different regions. Stella Duque from Colombia. Stella leads the organization Centro Teresa Rojo Seco Social Taller de Vida. She leads Vida's work providing critical services to Afro-Colombian and indigenous women and children displaced by violence, including former child soldiers and those at risk of forced recruitment by the paramilitaries. Stella is a clinical psychologist and has a master's degree in systemic family intervention. Stella is a founding member of Tajir Devido, a psychosocial development and consulting center. Her work with the center brings her extensive experience with psychosocial intervention and pedagogy for children, young women, families, and communities. Patricia from FOST in Zimbabwe. Patricia Rambujai Chingando serves as a knowledge management officer at the Farm Orphan Support Trust, FOST, where she leads initiatives in fundraising and oversees monitoring, evaluation, accountability, learning, and reporting. She is also a key coordinator for protection sector. She's also a key coordinator for FOST's United for Boys program. With 5 years of experience in the child protection sector, Patricia has previously worked with a regional organization focused on early childhood development. Committed to creating safe spaces for children, she is currently a Proud Program Fellow, where her efforts center on ending child sexual violence. Our external partner guest is Abdul Jabbar. Jabbar leads the Institution for Social Change in Sindh, Pakistan, focusing on addressing issues like child abuse and rights violations. Institution for Social Change is not a member of our alliance, and yet they actively participated in the BUD campaign this year. Jabbar holds a master's degree in sociology and philosophy from the University of Sindh and a law degree. For over 20 years, has worked with various NGOs and INGOs like WWF Pakistan, UNICEF, advocating for human rights, especially children's rights, across Sindh, Pakistan. We'll now hear from each speaker about their experiences with their BUD campaign, sharing success and key learnings from their regions, followed by a look at how we can create impact at both national and international levels. I would first invite Stella to do her presentation. Stella, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for creating this space and giving us the opportunity to talk about this very important campaign, which is the Blue Umbrella Day campaign that we have carried out since 2020 in Colombia. And I would like to start by saying, how did we start? We started in a meeting from 2019 in Chile. It was carried out in a conference that PAICABI organized. It was the Philippines, Mexico, Colombia, Guatemala, and Nepal as well. And we were starting to talk about the different situations that children were facing. We also carried out a piece of research by Family for a Child. Before that, it was Caring for Boys, that was the name. And in that event, we talked about the importance about how important it is to talk about sexual violence against boys. We shared the experience of working with boys that were leaving the armed conflict in Colombia. This is an armed conflict that took more than 60 years in our country. And we found out that many boys have suffered sexual violence during this period, but this was not recognized. It was hidden. So that's why we started to focus especially on the discussions that we carried out in 2019 in Chile. And then in February 2020, we celebrated a first meeting with 4 organizations. There were people from the Philippines, Paraguay, India, and we started to have conversations about setting a date to celebrate the campaign. It was going to be the 16th of April. So in 2020, we started to advocate or to fight for having a date for this Blue Umbrella Day campaign. It was Blue Umbrella Day campaign. And then we celebrated a first meeting in order to talk about this campaign in our in our country, in Colombia. So from 2020, we have been working on this during the several years. And we have celebrated this or carried out this campaign since then. We had the possibility, because of this, to pay attention to sexual violence against boys. Also, there were different government institutions that were committed to this, such as the Colombian Welfare Institute, different indigenous and Afro-descending communities, governments, and also the educational institutions. All of them were articulating their work to work with the families in order to make this situation visible. And I would like to also mention that I would like to talk about the impact, I would say. What's the impact of the Blue Umbrella Day campaign in Colombia? What have we achieved with this activity? As you can see in the pictures, this year we had the first World Minister Conference in Colombia. And this is where we talked about the Blue Umbrella Day campaign. We had there was a different institutions, and the UN was there, for example, or the Children Well-being Committee. And can we see this next slide, please? And in Colombia, we had a great reception about this campaign. We found out that this is a very dangerous phenomenon that is taking place in many communities. We were able to mobilize many institutions, entities, but we need to strengthen the campaign still. We need to have one day that is an official day for the campaign so that we can make this kind of violence visible. For example, I'd like to talk about a case. This took place 3 weeks ago in Colombia. A 2-year-old boy was strangled, raped, and killed by a family member. So this was something that moved so much the Colombian people. It was such a sad situation, but it was not the only one. During the year, there have been more than 435 cases in Colombia. And that's why the civil society entities and organizations want to create and generate a whole movement around the Blue Umbrella Day campaign to say enough, enough with sexual violence against the boys. We need to make it more visible. We need to talk about it. It needs to be recognized as gender violence against boys. We think this is very important. And that's why in Colombia, we are ready. We're ready to open our umbrella, our blue umbrella, on 2025. We will continue opening this blue umbrella and making it visible so that everybody can see it and recognize that this date is very important. And from Taller de Vida, um, all of the other organizations that are part of Family for the Child. And this is a call not only for them, but also for all the other organizations that are part of these movements in their own countries. You're invited to open this blue umbrella and sign the campaign so that we can achieve this date, to have the 16th of April as a day that is recognized by the people, so that we can have a political recognition of the rights of boys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stella. And now we will invite Patricia from FOSS Zimbabwe. Patricia.
Thank you very much, Shampa. So FOST conducted a research study on sexual violence affecting boys in 2020. This is how FOST became part of the Blue Umbrella Day campaign. So we then launched the research study in 2021. And from that research study, we identified gaps that that were portrayed within our communities back here in Zimbabwe. The research was done in Mutare and in Bindura, which are districts in Zimbabwe. So the first gap that we identified was lack of information pertaining to the underreporting of cases of sexual violence, as well as even documenting data that relates to sexual violence affecting boys. We also found out that there was also lack of specific services for the boy child, you'll find that whenever boys tried to access services, they would get victimization again from service providers, as well as they would even get to the point of withdrawing their cases because they felt that there was no support for them. So these were some of the gaps that were identified. One of the other gaps that was identified was regarding the legal frameworks, the legal provisions within the Zimbabwean Court of Laws. You'll find that the constitution and the laws in the country were in total disharmony. So with these policy gaps, sorry, could you please go back a bit? Sorry. We came to recommendations that we drew from the study, which were that informed FOST to take part in the BAD campaign. And we realized that one of the responses was that we needed to create awareness, which was a recommendation that came out of the study. So throughout that, we began to commemorate the Blue Umbrella Day in 2022. So our journey has been focused on strengthening our advocacy strategy, particularly in the sub-national level, at the sub-national level. Thus, we're focusing on the districts that we operate in, which is Bindura, Makoni, and other districts in Zimbabwe. We then, in terms of our impact, we then realized that we had a total reach of 9,000 people, including on social media, from social media engagements, from Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We've managed to be part of 5 radio stations with an estimated reach of about 2 million people from the sessions that we've attended on radio. We've even included our national TV station, that is ZBC. The campaign has been broadcasted. So most of the outcomes really that had impact, where the service provision has actually changed for Zimbabwean boys. You find that through the BAD campaign, there's now capacitation of service providers. There's also has been an increased reporting of cases. The very first BAD campaign that we held in Zimbabwe realized 8 boys reporting their cases of violation from one woman. So that was one of the great impacts that was begotten from raising awareness. Also, we have managed to start engaging policymakers on at least influencing them to review the policies that have gaps that address children and their violations, especially looking at the boy child. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patricia. And may I now invite Abdul Jabbar from Institute for Social Change, St. Pakistan. Abdul.
Thank you, Champa. Thank you. I am grateful for the family, for every child who provide me this opportunity to talk with you people. Basically, the current slide show that the human rights state in Pakistan. Currently, in average, 12 children per day. In one boy in every 2 hours were subjected to the abuse in Pakistan in 2023. One of the organization pointed out that total 2,227 child was abused only in 6 months of 2023, January to June. During the 6 months, child rights violation cases of 1,207 girls, whereas 1,020 were boys, recorded in the 2023. Likewise, the abuse case involved children between the 6 to 15 years. This was the age group which was targeted by the exploiters. 47% of the cases were reported in this age group, and among these, more boys were reported than the girls. It's comparatively 593 were girls as compared to 400, sorry, boys as compared to 457 were girls. Reported further elaborate 75% of these cases were reported from the large province of the Pakistan, Punjab, and on the second number there was Sindh, who received the large number of the male child abuse cases. Next, Champa. Yeah, these are the key issues, child related in Pakistan. As you know, the child labor. 3.3 million children are involved in child labor. Likewise, 71% children are in Pakistan are in school. 29% children are still remaining to attend the school. Children in Pakistan face many forms of abuse, including physical, emotional, and abuse, as well as neglect. Early marriages, it is one of the big issue in Pakistan. Lack of awareness, gender bias, poverty, lack of data, and ineffective laws. Next, Champa. Yeah, Blue Umbrella Day. Basically, our organization, Institute for Social Change, it was working in Pakistan, in Sindh, Pakistan, since last 12 years. But it was first time that we involved in this excellent campaign, celebrated Blue Umbrella Day in Hyderabad, in Pakistan. Two different kinds of event were organized, in which more than 50 children were involved. The first campaign especially focused, this was the first campaign on the part of our organization which focused on male child protection in our region. Prior to this, I organized various initiatives to highlight and promote general human rights through awareness sessions, programs, fact findings, and different kind of programs we were organizing to highlight the human rights, especially the children's rights. But it was first time that we focused on the male child rights. Since then, the Institute of Change has centered its efforts on addressing the male child abuse and violation, continuing its commitment to safeguarding a vulnerable child in Sindh in Pakistan. Within short span of time, we were able to involve children, teachers from 3 schools in our area participated, not only contributed to the success of the campaign, but helped create support, discussion, and critical issue of male child abuse. This collaboration with schools played a vital role in initiating meaningful conversation within our community. This campaign gave our work a new dimension, as we become the only organization in Sindh province who were taking up the issue of the male child abuse. It reinforced our commitment to address this neglected area of neglect of the Child Protection Foundation for future initiative focusing on this critical issue. Impact. Work on the issue of male child abuse was valuable learning experience. We discovered that reluctant to openly discuss male child, highlighting the need for greater awareness and dialogue. One of the key challenges we faced was the lack of external funding. All activities were conducted on our own resources, which required significant efforts and dedication to ensure the success of the campaign. We are very grateful to our advisor, Mr. Amir Murtaza Saab, for this invaluable support and guidance throughout this campaign. And dedication played a crucial role in its success and helping us to address these critical issues of male child abuse in Sindh, Pakistan. Increased impact, increased awareness. This campaign successfully raised awareness about the issue of the male child abuse, male child abuse, breaking the silence and encouraging open dialogue within the school and the community. It helped children, teachers, and family recognizing the importance of the addressing this initiative issues. Strengthen advocacy efforts by initiating the first ever focused campaign on male child protection initiatives, paved the way for broader advocacy efforts, positioning the organization as a pioneer to tackle and inspiring others to address the neglected areas of the children. Since we have celebrated this campaign, now number of children of our area, they are asking for the similar kind of the activities when we are going to conduct the similar kind of activities. And definitely this is the visible impact of this campaign that we initiated in 2024. Thank you so much.
Champa, you're muted.
You're still muted, Champa.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So Stella, Patricia, and Jabba, thank you very much for those inspiring presentations. We now have time for questions from our audience. Please use the chat or raise hand if you have any question or comments, and I will call on you to share your questions. I'm sure you have questions for the speakers. Until you think of a question, let me put forward a question. Can each one of you share a challenge you faced and a lesson learned during the campaign? Stella, can I invite you to go first?
Yes, I would like to say that in front of the challenges in Colombia, our challenges are related to the situation of the country. Now, we are looking for a death penalty for those that commit rape. This is due to the large amount of cases that we have, the same as Zimbabwe, Pakistan. We have an alarming situation. And therefore, we want to establish the regulations, the legal rules. And it's a big discussion at the moment in the country whether to establish death penalties for this sort of crime. We need to establish real protection. We got programs, but we also have problems regarding our financial support. We have to work with very few resources, and it's difficult, therefore, to have enough capacity to work and to intervene. This is a problem in Colombia. We need to establish protocols, policies. We need to give training to the different professional teams for them to be able to recognize and to be alert these cases of sexual violence against boys. This is a challenge, a big challenge, and this is something that we have to consider, is that the Blue Umbrella campaign is a worldwide movement, and is including now entities like the United Nations and different governments that do have the resources that we require in order to bring change. In Colombia, we also have cultural changes. We have to go ahead with changes on cultural aspects for the communities to become more involved with the protection. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stella. Can I ask Jabba whether you have had any challenge?
Yeah, Champa, thank you for this opportunity. Basically, in Pakistan, as you know, the culturally uh, people don't talk about the male child abuse or sexual abuse. Most of the time, most of the NGOs and even most of the human rights defenders, when they are talking about the human rights protection and child protection, they only focus on the girls, because culturally it is very, it means people feel uneasy to talk on the child, on the rights of the child and child sexual abuse. When we were conducting the session on the male child abuse, even we were not, means the feeling comfortable to talk on these issues, that how the male child is facing in the context of the sexual abuse. So in that context, we invited a psychologist to conduct the sessions. He came and he indirectly involved all the male child, uh, and talk about the sexual abuse, how they are facing the challenges, and what kind of things they should be avoided while facing in the, means the, in their community. So this is one of the big challenges. Second, means the laws. Poor means that there's no automatic law, means the there's no response from the side of the government. So sometime when you complain, when you do such things, they only neglect, and they do not act to, means the uh, to activate the law protecting the male child and children's rights. So this is one of the challenge that we were facing in Pakistan. And second, definitely that we could not do it more. Although we wanted to do it more, means we wanted to celebrate this campaign at the larger level, but due to limited resources which we did on our own, so we celebrated this campaign limit on the limited skills. So so this is, thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you. I saw Kriti, you had raised your hand and put it in the chat, but would you like to ask the question yourself? Kriti?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. No, I just wanted to ask to double first that you mentioned lots of cases in Pakistan and those sexual abuse cases as well. And I was keen to know, like, does this involve online violence as well, or it's the other forms only? That is my one question. And the other question is like, when we talk about the perpetrators, we mostly talk about family members. Stella was also sharing while before. So, what is the situation in Pakistan? Thank you.
Abha, the question is for you.
Sorry?
The question is to you, whether the child sexual abuse and rising number of boys, does this include online violence as well? And who are the perpetrators mostly?
Definitely, as I shared the figures, that male child abuse is increasing as compared to female. That is, I showed that only in 6 months, of 2023, only means the 475 boys were reported to be sexually abused as compared to sorry as compared to girls. Boys were 593 and girls were 475. These figures have been taken from the last year 2023. Now the figure is even more. And second, that these are the only cases which have been reported by the different media channels. There are a lot of cases which are unreported, and families do not allow them to report because of their cultural restrictions. And second part of the question is that, so mostly means the exploiters are from the family and from their neighbors, which have been reported, and they are their means relatives and their family members. They are the exploiting, and they are the exploiting the male child.
Okay, Jabbar, thank you very much. There's some more hands raised. I think Hind.
It's Hind.
Hind, sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Champa. Hi, everyone. I work with No Means No Worldwide, and we work on teaching youth self-defense skills and healthy masculinity to fight sexual violence. And I have seen the trend is to have more disclosures by girls than by boys. And this case in Pakistan, where more boys are disclosing sexual violence than girls, I find it really interesting. I was wondering, what do you think is the reason that makes the numbers for boys more than girls? And second, who is doing the disclosures? Is it the youth themselves? Is it the children themselves, or the families, or their, their network, maybe teachers or?
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Basically, in this modern era where the technology is working so effectively, so everybody has means the everybody is using technology. The involvement of the social sites, now people have started to disclose these things. Mostly family members and friends, they are disclosing the sexual violence. Not, and sometimes the teachers are also helping or supporting their students and boys to disclose and to open to talk with their family, so that actions could be taken against the exploiters. Yeah.
Thank you. And Helen, you had a question? Helen, you want to ask it yourself? Can anyone explain how they involve boys and young men in their campaign activities? Or how boys and young men responded to their campaign messages? Was their response different from adults?
Thank you,
Yeah.
Champa. That was brilliant.
And I think Jabba or Stella can, or both can answer.
Yeah. I'm
We'll get
would
Stella
like
to answer
to
first.
answer,
Yes.
please. Stella. We have worked in a strategy through the arts, expressive arts. We try to open the blue umbrella with the both boys and girls without making a difference between them. And we give them incentive to speak about the care that this umbrella is going to give them. We explain to them about the protection that the family can offer, that the community can offer. And we have, through Taller de Vida, we've been able to mobilize both boys and girls, and we've been able to mobilize the communities. And we have this encounter where both boys and girls acknowledge the existence of the protection and acknowledge those that can help them. For instance, we go through music, we go through songs that we created, including the Blue Umbrella, and this protection everywhere that we can offer with the Blue Umbrella. And we are always bringing this in through arts, musics, drawings. And we have also an advert that says stop. And we have this advert in the streets, and the children can use this word stop in case there is a problem. It is important to generate a process of participation. It is important to mobilize the youth. The Blue Umbrella campaign has been taken over by these boys and girls in Colombia. In different departments and provinces of Colombia, we have used this Blue Umbrella in the events. And it's important to go on investing in this, using these arts as a way to express the existence of protection. We have protocols. The protocols have to work together with education, with the leaders of the communities. And each community has their own leader. And these leaders have to adhere to the protocols and report the cases. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. And we have a question from Jessica.
Yeah.
Jessica?
Thanks very much. So my question, I had several questions, but I'll focus to one question. In the 3 countries that we've heard from, have you seen instances of moral injury, meaning that the boys who've been the survivors or the victims who've been sexually abused, have you seen a trend of them starting to abuse younger boys or younger girls? And how have you been able to address that through this campaign as well?
Take that question, Stella or Jabber.
I would like to say that from Colombia, what we do, it depends on the legal aspects. We are working with the Congress and the government. We're bringing in a discussion for legal change. Now just we're approving Colombia a law against child marriage. We have to bring this about through the Congress and the ministries, the government. And now we have this young marriage now forbidden. Now we have to organize the legal aspect of the sexual violence against children. This is still subject to discussion, but we have to determine how we're going to establish the attention and the care and the support, because we do have centers that we apply when the child is already a victim, but we do not have a system for prevention. we have to work, and it is important for organizations, is to involve the public with the campaign. We have to involve the United Nations. We have to make clear which ones are the children's rights. When we have our conference with the ministries, we had 170 countries involved. We came to an agreement between all these countries that came to Colombia, and we decided how to work on security for the internet. The different countries are going to invest in programs in order to check on the access that the children will have through their telephones or tablets. They're going to establish filters to guarantee that this information with pornography content is not available to them. This is one of the first activities we chose to execute. We have here countries that are really very developed, and also some other countries with less resources. But this was the great decision of this ministerial conference. And also this differs from country to country, from continent to continent. In Colombia, the internet is restricted, and this already gives some protection to the children. And also, we're establishing regulations, legal regulations, on the use of all these machines and the control of these machines. I think that we have to speak to the different companies that produce this technology, and they must include programs, security programs, and protection against the free access. For instance, in Colombia, we can block certain channels in our families so the child will not have access to some television program or internet. It is important point, and we have to reach this point. And now there's a whole global mobilization, and the different countries are all participating. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. And we have a question from Jessica. This is on beyond awareness raising. What are the activities did the different NGOs implement to respond and prevent sexual violence against boys? I can take only one more question. I think I will go to Lydia. Can Shamran answer Jessica's question? Shamran? Can you answer Jessica's question?
Thank you, Champa. Let me try to respond to the first question. Before that, another question regarding the possibility of boys who experience sexual abuse and then becoming the abuser. At first step, we have been working with more than 400 cases so far in the last 15 years of boys who are, who have with lived experience of sexual violence and abuse. However, we see, the majority have experienced other, impacts of, social problem. And we see that in our cases, only 1 in 10 boys who display problematic and harmful sexual behavior experience sexual abuse themselves. But if we look at the cause, why they actually display problematic or harmful sexual behavior, majority are not really among those boys, not really because of the experience of abuse. It's more about, lack of, positive parenting skill, lack of, sex education, like many of I see also other participants mention about, you know, good touch, bad touch. They don't really understand the boundary, body boundary, what is safe and not safe, you know, like sexual behavior and so on. And it's a combination of other factors. And I can also share, you know, like a summary of our research regarding that. May I get the second question again, please, in terms of the
what other activities were done beyond awareness creation?
I'm sorry, I don't turn on my camera because I attend the meeting just after my workout. So I'm still in the sport outfit. So in terms of the program, you know, beyond the prevention program, beyond the campaign, at first step, we work at the community level. So we form children and youth club at the commune level to raise awareness of, you know, like child rights, child abuse, and also we emphasize the importance of recognition of boys can be vulnerable too. We don't just, at first, we don't just, you know, like exclude anybody. We try to be inclusive when we raise awareness, when we strengthen the child protection mechanism. So among these children and youth, they also select their own representative and they sit in the commune council, the provincial, the district council and the provincial council, so that they can have a voice about, you know, child abuse and including sexual abuse of boys in those levels. So we don't just do advocacy, but we also have program working with children. And we know that parents play a very critical role or important role in protecting children, meaning both boys and girls. So we, alongside, we also develop like what's so-called a core parent group. These are the group that we train, deliver a series of training to them, while this group also later on receive the support from the government to roll out their awareness raising activity in their own communities. And we actually see this as a more sustainable solution. And so far, the government at the commune, district, and provincial level start to take on a more active role by providing, you know, funding to children and youth to roll out awareness raising activity on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamaran. I think we need to move on to other segment. But I'm sure I will give one very last question to Lydia, because she has been raising her hand for some time now. But make it very short, Lydia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm Lydia. I'm joining you from Ghana. And I wanted to know, I've been hearing about the reporting of cases, and it's really a bit surprising that in Pakistan, the increase in sexual violence against boys is actually more, because I work with a child protection organization here in Ghana, and we've not recorded a single case of sexual violence against a boy. So I am really impressed. Maybe we are not doing something right. That's why we are not getting the reports from that angle. But I want to know, after the reporting, what happens? What do you do to make sure that these children get justice? Thank you.
Jabbar, you can give a very brief answer, because we can continue our conversation on the change makers if
Thank
people
you,
have more
Champa.
questions.
The number of actions we take to make these children to have access to justice. Sometimes we link them to the different forums and different forums of advocates who can provide who can provide them justice at their doorsteps. Sometimes we ourselves means our organizations do the actions to take these parties to the court so that they can be they can be provided justice. And there are some means the departments like child protection units and some other departments, they are helping them to have a justice if they are sexually abused.
Thank you, Jabbar. I invite all of you, if you have any more questions, please post that on Changemakers and let's continue the discussion. Thank you. So let's now focus on the signature campaign, and I'll invite Omati and Hassani to introduce this important initiative and how to support it. Omati, over to you.
Thank you, Champa. Really rich discussion. Sorry to cut it a little bit short, but really solid points. Very good presentations. I am going to ask my colleague Hassani to lead us in the presentation on the campaign itself, and then I will come back and share for a minute on the message from the UN on the campaign. Go right ahead, Hassani.
Thank you, Mati. Thank you, Champa. Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining us today. So I'm here to share with you an important global initiative, our signature campaign to establish April 16 as an International Day for the Prevention of Sexual Violence Against Boys. This campaign is crucial, and we need your support to make it a success. You may have heard from our panels that sexual violence against boys is a widespread but often an invisible issue. It is overshadowed in global conversations about violence against children, despite significant commitments made under international frameworks such as the Convention on the Rights of the Child and the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly Goal 16. These frameworks highlight the protection of all children, but when it comes to boys, societal norms and cultural stigmas often make their experiences invisible, unfortunately. Our Caring for Boys research, conducted globally along with national researchers in 7 countries in Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean, highlighted just how severe and long-lasting the impact of sexual violence on boys can be. Even the World Health Organization estimates that 3 to 17% of boys in middle and high-income countries experience sexual violence before the age of 18. In fact, UNICEF reports that 1 in 7 boys globally experience sexual abuse, but this is likely underreported due to stigma and cultural barriers. This is why it is crucial to not only raise awareness, but also to address the unique challenges boys face in accessing support and justice. So we need to ensure that no one is left behind, including boys, who are too often overlooked in discussions about child protection. So here's why this International Day is essential. Number 1, we need to raise global awareness. And when we do this, it will shine a light on sexual violence against boys. It will challenge harmful gender norms and encourage open dialogue on this critical issue. The number 2 reason why this International Day is essential is we need to promote research and policy. We need more investment in research to better understand the issues and develop policies that are tailored to the needs of boys who experience sexual violence. The 3rd reason this International Day is essential, we need to ensure justice and support. It will advocate for accessible, effective, and safe services for boys, ensuring that they receive the support they need. The 4th reason why this International Day is essential, we need to foster global solidarity. Global solidarity will unite countries, civil societies, survivors, and stakeholders from around the world in the fight to protect boys and amplify their voices. And the final reason, we need to encourage government commitment. Countries will be encouraged to take follow-up actions and develop standard procedures to address sexual violence against boys. Yes, so how can you join the campaign? Now, this is where you come in, obviously. We need your help to make this International Day a reality. You can support this movement by signing our petition to the United Nations, urging them to declare April 16 as Blue Umbrella Day. This isn't just a symbolic act. It's a call for real change, ensuring that boys who have experienced sexual violence receive recognition, support, and justice they deserve. We're aiming to send at least 100,000 signatures to the UN. By signing, you are standing up for the rights of boys around the world, contributing to the protection of all children and affirming that their experience matter. Every signature brings us closer to making this International Day a reality. You can sign the petition online, and we'll post the link to the petition in the chat. You can also access it via the QR code. It should be on the screen. And also, we encourage you to share within your networks to help us reach more people. Next week, we will be sharing a campaign pack to promote this campaign and urge you to promote this through your social media activities and your social media accounts, and also to reach out to your networks. We are also inviting you to participate in the Blue Umbrella Day campaign in 2025. In closing, I want to emphasize that this campaign is more than just a single day. It's a global movement to protect boys from sexual violence. Together, we can raise awareness, drive policy change, and ensure that boys are no longer invisible in this fight against sexual abuse. Thank you, and over to you, Omati.
Thank you very much, Asani. In our own experience here in Guyana, we started working on the prevention of sexual violence against children, running many campaigns, and then subsequently working very closely with our National Child Protection Agency to set up services for children who report sexual violence and to respond to those children in a range of services, including prosecution and counseling. We have seen at least 100% increase in reports coming from boys over the past 10 years of running these services. So we know that raising the awareness against sexual violence of children, in particular boys, has had significant impact. And so we're looking forward to hearing, to seeing everyone participating in the campaign. Last month, I had the opportunity to join with colleagues in the Philippines at the launching of the signature campaign. And in that campaign, we invited the UN Special Rapporteur, who couldn't visit or participate in the conference, but sent her statement. And I would like to read that for you in the wrapping up of our presentations. And it says, I'm pleased to issue this statement in support of the International Conference on Building Solution to Child Sexual Abuse taking place in Manila. This happened in between 16th and the 17th of October, organized by CPT CSA, another member of Family for Every Child. I understand that one of the key interests of the Alliance is to advocate for April 16th as an International Day to protect boys from sexual violence through their Blue Umbrella Day campaign. I find this initiative quite commendable because it will galvanize global support to protect boys from sexual violence and ensure that their rights and well-being are prioritized. You will recall that in 2021, I presented at the UN General Assembly a report on the gender dimension of sexual exploitation of children and the importance of integrated, child-centered, and gender-inclusive approach to combating and eradicating it. Therein, I highlighted the importance of providing equal protection to all children, independent of gender and irrespective of who they are, while at the same time shaping support and care mechanisms in a manner that is gender-informed and gender-sensitive. To do so, I continue to encourage governments to design policies that factor in the fact that boys are equally exposed to sexual violence, especially those who are within vulnerable groups, such as boys with disabilities, diverse gender identities, and those in institutional care or locked facilities. Child protection systems should also be designed to be inclusive, recognizing and addressing the unique vulnerabilities of boys to create safer environments for all children. It would be important, and governments are encouraged to increase investment in research to better understand the scale and context of sexual violence against boys, challenging harmful stereotypes and driving evidence-based policies that ensure boys are not left behind in the fight against sexual abuse. There needs to be more awareness on this issue amongst different stakeholders to better respond to the challenges of underreporting and associated stigma, whilst at the same time design services that address the specific needs of boys. Coordination and cooperation among relevant stakeholders is important to support concrete actions to prevent and halt the sexual exploitation of boys, to address and tackle gender-driven demand. Ensure rapid identification of victims and coordinated referral mechanisms, and provide child-friendly and gender-sensitive reporting and complaint mechanism to report exploitative behavior online and offline. A concerted effort from all stakeholders is therefore required in order to achieve gender-inclusive child protection systems which protect and empower children, girls, boys, and those who identify outside of the gender binary, with their own unique developing personalities and characteristics as rights holders with agencies. This is the statement from Ms. Mama Fatima Singate, and she's the Special Rapporteur on the sexual exploitation and sexual abuse of children. And this was her statement at the launching of the campaign last month. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Over to you, Champa.
Thank you, Mati and Hassani. Quite good information about the signature campaign now. And I wonder whether there's any questions with regard to the signature campaign. We have a few more minutes for that. Anyone wants to have more clarity on certain things? Everyone is clear about the campaign and what we need to do? I know that Hassani in his presentation included how we could contribute, but for the benefit of everyone, can we just repeat it? How we can, as outsiders, how we can contribute to this signature campaign, and what kind of support would we receive from the family? Omati or Hassani?
Sani, would you like to take that, please?
This is a very important signature campaign, so we need to, give more information to to our colleagues.
Okay, yes. So we're currently running the BUD campaign in many countries at the moment, over 25 countries, and as you've heard, over 1 million persons, including children, would have been a part of the campaign over the past years that it's been implemented since 2020. So we're asking everyone to get involved, join the campaign. There is the link to sign the petition in the chat, but you could also use the QR code that is currently on screen. Your signature can help ensure that boys who experience sexual violence receive the support and justice that they deserve. The campaign helps us to engage the UN to identify April 16th as an international day dedicated to the prevention of sexual violence against boys. And of course, we need as much signature as possible to get the attention of the UN to get this day identified as the Blue Umbrella Day. So please, if you need any additional information, quickly raise your hands or drop a question in the chat box, or any comments, we would be happy to respond. But you could also reach us on Changemakers.
I don't see any hands raised at the moment. Okay, I think we are coming to the last part of our webinar. So thank you all for all your very valuable insights and engagement today. I think I have a few key takeaways to summarize. The importance of global awareness and advocacy for protecting boys was highlighted, and the need for collaboration. I think it included the government, NGO, and INGO partners in our collaborations to get especially to get the commitment from the government to make this issue highlighted. So with that, I would say that please continue these discussions in our Changemakers for Children platform. The link is already shared, I suppose, on the chat. So we look forward to seeing you, each of you, taking the message forward. That is the main thing that we can expect to get a day declared for the Blue Umbrella. And huge thank you for our panelists, interpreters, and everyone who has contributed to this year's campaign. So we look forward to involvement in BUD 2025 and your support to promote the signature campaign.
Sorry,
Thank you very much.
Champa,
Yes.
Stella has a question. Stella?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I
all right.
didn't see you.
Yes, and there is another person there, Pierre, as well.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hands. I'm sorry. Yes, Stella?
I would like to add that this Blue Umbrella had also, we also did a campaign to obtain the 16th of April as established date. We did this during our conference. Many of the governments got to know the campaign and they decided to participate. And it's very important to have this international event in order to push forward this particular date. Tomorrow is the 20th of November, date of the rights for boys and girls. And then the whole world would act, will have real actions in each country so we can move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. Thank you for that addition. And I'm sorry I missed the other one. Was it Piri? Was there another question, Umati? I haven't seen the end.
Yeah, it's Piri.
Yeah.
Rupika Piri.
Yes. Yes, Piri. Please go ahead. Piri, please ask your question.
We can't hear you, Piri. We still can't.
Pierre needs to be in an interpretation channel. That's why we cannot hear him. Yeah, please choose the interpretation channel, the English interpretation channel, and ask your question again. Thank you.
Thierry, I think you need to select the interpretation channel. We can't hear you.
His question was that he wanted to know if there's work in refugee camp. Yes, he asked if members were working in refugees camp.
I hope so. I have selected. I don't know if I can speak now.
Yes, we're
Yes,
hearing
we
you.
can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'd like just to know if you have an approach of working with the girls with disabilities, especially the refugees, the young girls living in the camp. As I'm working with an organization as a project manager, and we are also working with the girls, the young girls with disabilities, the refugees. As they are also too young, if in your approach you can have something now to help, to train, to teach, to improve, to make them to improve something. I don't know in your organization if that can also be done, or we can work together so that we may improve, so that we may mentor them, so that we can help them.
Who can answer that?
If Umati, if you can answer our members who are working on the issue of children with disabilities, and also one of our member in Bangladesh, for example, is working on the refugee camp of Rohingya communities.
Thanks, Rajiv. The work in Jamaica in particular, children with disabilities, there is that focus that is done more specifically with parents in the refugee camp. The activities would obviously be a bit different. I'm not quite sure, Rajiv, if you could speak a bit more on the work in the refugee camps. But in Jamaica, the work is done directly with parents. It's done through the schools, and it's done through the community mechanisms, specifically highlighting, as one of our colleagues has put in the chat, for children, for all children, no means no, but obviously for children with a disability, adults need to have much more of an active engagement and involvement in protecting children from all forms of abuse. Rajiv, would you want to speak a bit more on the work of our colleagues in Bangladesh?
Yes, so in Bangladesh as well, one of our member works specifically on the issue of children with disabilities, and another member who works on various issues, including the issue of refugees. And they work with Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh who are coming from Myanmar, and they provide immediate services, education, safeguarding children as well into that setup, apart from providing them with necessary psychosocial interventions that are needed, medical interventions that are needed in there.
You're muted, Champa.
I would like to add something from Colombia, please.
Yes, please.
We work on the border with Venezuela. We have a big center. We have lots of refugees there. And we work there with the Blue Umbrella in a center that is the largest of Latin America. We have some 4,000 families. We have worked with girls, with boys in extreme poverty and in very difficult circumstances. We're working there and we will continue to work there.
Thank you, Stella. Thank you, Omati. Thank you, Rajiv, for your contributions. And once again, I think we have come to the end of our webinar. The time is really there. So a huge thank you once again to our panelists, interpreters, and everyone who has contributed to this year's campaign. And we look forward to your involvement in BUD 2025. So thank you and take care.